Hello, everyone. It's Professor Presley again. Hopefully, you guys have had a great week and are having a great weekend. I've seen a lot of great posts from the assignments this week, and also saw a really great group visual that I wanted to show off really quick. This is from Dominic, Luis, Anna, and Breda from one of my sections. So they turned in a group visual about how they use language, which isn't due until Sunday night, tomorrow night. But I just wanted to show you guys what their visual looked like. So they are showcasing the informal versus the academic language that they use. So on the informal side, their mom says, "Go do the dishes," and they say, "Nah." And then she yells, "Now!" And then they say, "Sorry, gotta go." All right. So, and notice how even their text is informal. So you could imagine this being informal language if they were to orally say this, but also if they were to text it, which is what is being seen here, how informal their language is. Versus the academic side, and you know what? I think I just got that this is an actual cell phone, which is kind of funny. And then on the academic side, you can see that their mother's texting them, "Can you please do the dishes?" And then they say, "Yes, I will get it done." All right. So even the mother here is speaking in a more formal tone. "Can you please do the dishes?" I know my mom would never ask me to do the dishes. She would just tell me to. Uh, but you know, on this side, it's more formal, more academic. So response is, "Yes, I will get it done, mother." So this is a great visual. This is kind of what I want to see from you guys as groups on the group visual assignment that's due tomorrow. What I wanted to talk to you guys about is next week's assignments. So next week is series 2.2. And so if you go to the series 2.2 tab, you'll see the introduction where we talk about what we talked about this past week, which is literacy and identity. This week, you guys are going to start working on your multimodal literacy narrative projects, which is the one of the big projects that's due at the end of the course, and you guys are going to start drafting it this week. And I think last week I told you guys um, that there's a description of this project, but you guys didn't really have to worry about it. Well, this upcoming week you have to worry about it because now you'll be drafting um, the, the first part of your multimodal literacy narrative. So once again, this project is all about you. You're the subject, and you're just writing about pretty much how you came to the knowledge of literacy. So what seminal moments in your life led you to understand what literacy is all about? It's your literacy history. All right. And multimodal, it's a fancy sounding word, but basically all it means is that you're using different elements to express your story. So you could be using text, you could be using links, you could be using visuals. So that's what multimodal means. You got to use multiple ways to show your story. And it says here this project is more than just an inventory of your important literacies. It's also an exploration of the sponsors, so the people that influenced your literacies or the institutions that influenced your literacies. And we're really just wanting to hear your story. So not only are you going to put up visuals and text of some of the most important moments in your literacy history, but you're also going to describe them. And that's the key um, element to what's going to make your multimodal literacy narrative stand out is the descriptions that go along with the visuals or the pictures. So this is kind of what the outline of your multimodal literacy narrative should look like. Um, and you could actually use something like a map to kind of share your story, which is what's kind of depicted up here. Um, but it's a literacy narrative, and you're going to be creating one that is put together on something like Prezi or Google Slides or just any type of kind of medium that will allow you to present your multimodal literacy narrative to an audience. So here's what the narrative should do. It should explore the formative events of your literacy history, so kind of the most important events, some meaningful nodes or locations, points of interest. So what are the key moments and how you came to learn about language and how you came to be literate in not just English, but maybe in Spanish or any other language that you speak. You got to show evidence of thoughtful design and effort, and it's going to be submitted via Blackboard. So there's different ways that you can present this. You can present it via a subscription box, a museum exhibit, an annotated playlist. You can actually have links to music that kind of describe your literacy history. But regardless of how you do this, they should all have these elements in here. So you got to explore the formative events of your literacy history, include at least 5 items, describe the purpose and inclusion of those objects, purposefully include multimodal elements, and show evidence of thoughtful design. So however you create this multimodal literacy narrative, whether it's something physical that you build, like a museum exhibit or the subscription box, or maybe it's a catalog of songs on YouTube, or maybe, like I said, it's a presentation medium like Prezi or Google Slides or PowerPoint. However you create this multimodal literacy narrative, it's got to have these 5 elements. Now, that was last week. That was kind of the description of the multimodal literacy narrative. Let me show you what you're going to be doing this upcoming week. So you're going to have readings and videos like you always do. And then here are the things that you're going to be doing. You're going to be planning your storyboard, your multimodal literacy project, and then you're going to actually draft out your first draft of the multimodal literacy narrative. And then, like we've done the last 2 weeks, you're going to post a reflection to your portfolio. Your plan is due Wednesday by 11:59, September 9th. And then your first draft and your reflection is due next Sunday, September 13th by 11:59. Okay, so here are all the readings, and there's some really good ones in there this week. The videos are really good. And then here are the assignment descriptions. So planning your narrative. Here's where you are going to just kind of sketch out what's going to be in your multimodal literacy narrative. So here's some things to think about. The locations and sites of literacy development. You're going to put those there. And like I said, they're not limited to school. They can be, I'm going to show you an example of mine, but that could be your church. That could be different family experiences, whatever experiences and influences that were important in your literacy development you're going to put in your plan. You want to be specific. So I'm going to show you an example of a plan that I've just made, kind of sketched out. My plan is not very specific. So you want to do a little bit more than what I'm going to show you as far as the example, but my example will kind of give you a start. You're gonna describe the people, places, and items that are in your literacy memory. All right, and here's some questions you can kind of think about when you're drafting your descriptions. Language literacy, reading are all flexible terms. Reading's not limited to text on a page. So just think about what literacy means when you think about your literacy history. This plan for your draft can be anywhere. It can be on a sheet of paper, and that's the example I'm about to show you guys, but you can also do it on Prezi, Miro, Canva, any kind of software medium that you want to use to sketch out this draft is appropriate. Try to get as many moments and details as possible. I think you want to get 5 good ones but try to kind of plan out as many as you can. You don't have to have any complete sentences or anything like that. Okay, so let me show you before we move on. That's what's due Wednesday. All right, planning your narrative. You're gonna click on this, and then you're gonna go to write submission and put a link to wherever your plan is at. All right, but let me show you. Let me see if I can find my email. Okay, um, here's a little sketch example of a plan that I have. So this is a planning your narrative plan that I have, and I wrote down 4 different kind of areas of importance for my literacy history: my family, school friends, rap music, television, and then church. And so I kind of wrote out some more details here, some little bulleted list, and then I described how my family was important. I grew up in a family full of women, and let me see if I can. Yeah, without a dad, that experience shaped my thoughts on manhood and the language associated with it. School gave me an academic lexicon that helped me thrive. I love to write, so school was always easy for me. So as you can see, I came up with, I want you guys to come up with at least 5 or more, but this is just a little example of how I want you to plan this out. And it can be on a piece of paper, or you can put this on Google Slides or Prezi or however you want to. So whatever your plan, this is kind of what I want it to look like. Once you're done with it, you're going to go back on Blackboard and submit it via link. All right, let's see if I can bring my screen back up. Boom. All right, so that's your plan that's due Wednesday. Then you actually have your draft. So your draft of your multimodal literacy narrative is also going to be submitted by link, and you're going to actually put this. This should actually be on some sort of presentation medium. All right, or you can kind of start building it and kind of have some of the elements there if it's like a physical creation for you. So you're gonna draft your multimodal literacy narrative, and you're gonna fill out this self-assessment. So the self-assessment is gonna show you where you're at in your draft right now. So um, there's several dimensions to this self-assessment. Dimension 1 is inquiry, and basically the wow column is, okay, you're doing exactly what you need to do to pretty much get an A already. Most of you guys are going to probably be in the yikes or sections of the domains right now, the dimensions, and that's fine because this is just a draft. All right, so your inquiry dimension for a 5, each of your formative moments has to have a discussion of the relationships between language, literacy, and identity. So that's what you're shooting for when you're creating your multimodal literacy narrative. Context. To shoot for an A, you want to have written about your personal interests in this question and make connections to my prior experiences. Okay, so that's not, you're not just putting your things up visually, you're also describing them, and this is how you're going to get that A. All right. Rhetorical choices and risk taking. This dimension acknowledges the creative risk of your rhetorical choices. So to get that A, you want to have made some choices in your text that disrupt what is usually expected of this kind of writing. All right, so you're going to have to take a few risks visually and multimodally. Okay. Division 4, using and engaging with sources. I've included more than 4 experiences in my narrative. So in your narrative, you're going to want to, that's why I want you to shoot for 5, because in order to get that A, you're going to have these experiences. All right, and then for your self-assessment, you're going to come up with 2 more dimensions that you want to be graded by. All right, and you're going to kind of go through a rubric here. So you're gonna draft your multimodal literacy narrative. You're going to use this self-assessment to create 2 more dimensions, and then you're going to assess yourself overall on your draft here, and then you're going to answer these reflection questions. All right, so there's a lot to do next week. It's all individual, and so you are turning in your multimodal literacy narrative plan, and then you're turning in your draft, filling out these dimensions that you're making up, and then you are answering these reflection questions. Okay, I think my time is about to be up on Screencaster Max. So let me wait real quick. All right, it looks like actually I think I paid for the actual service that increases my time, so my time's not going to be up. It's awesome. All right, so so let's go back now. So you have a plan. Now you've actually also created a draft of your multimodal literacy narrative, looking at this self-assessment here and trying to base where you think you are on the overall rubric here, this overall assessment. After you made your draft, you're going to figure out where you stand with the wow, nice, or yikes rubric here. All right. And then you're going to answer those reflection questions at the end. Now, these reflection questions are just going to be in this document here. All right. So these aren't the reflection questions that you're going to answer for your portfolio. So for your portfolio, this is the reflection that you're going to put in your portfolio, the end of series reflection. These 3 questions here are going to be in your portfolio, okay? And that's due next Sunday night as well, okay? So you have these 3 questions to put in your portfolio, and you're going to submit it via link. You have the multimodal literacy narrative draft, some sort of creation that you're going to make that has all the elements of, and let me go back, of this project, okay? In addition to that draft, you have to fill out this self-assessment, which is basically you creating a couple dimensions. And you can print this sheet off and then scan it, or you can just, add the text at the end of your draft, somehow be able to come up with a way to present these 2 dimensions that you're adding, and then somehow figure out a way to answer these questions and submit them, okay, along with your multimodal literacy narrative draft. All right, so that's also due next Sunday. And the first thing you're going to do after you read the text and watch the videos is just plan your narrative. All right, and that can just be, like I said, a little sketch that I showed you earlier that has the different elements that you're going to include in your multimodal literacy narrative draft. Okay. All right, and then let me show you real quick an example of what your multimodal literacy narrative draft can look like. All right, so this is what I showed you. This is your plan. All right, when you plan your narrative, it could just be a little sketch, and you can still put it on Prezi or Google Slides or whatever. But this is just your plan. It's kind of like an outline of the most important moments in your literacy history. All right, so that's the plan. Now, I'm giving you an example of your actual multimodal literacy narrative right here. All right, so I just came up with a little Prezi presentation that could be a kind of a skeleton of what my multimodal literacy narrative will look like. And this can be your draft. Okay, now I'm not specific at all. I just kind of created a shell to show you what your draft can look like. But this is Prezi, and obviously if I were to go present, which I don't know if I want to do that right now. All right, let me do it. So if I go to present, right, I have all the nodes here: family, school friends, rap music, church, teaching, all the nodes of my literacy history. And then as I go to each one, this is where I would actually have my descriptions. All right, and maybe have some links, or maybe have a photo, or maybe have a link to like YouTube. All right, but this would be a good draft. Now I want your draft to be way more specific than this. All right, this draft would not do very well as far as grading is concerned. Obviously, if you're self-assessing, you would assess yourself pretty low on this draft because all I have right now are just the shells: family, rap music, school. All right, so you want to do a little bit more than this on your draft. But if this is all you can do on your draft, then you can just self-assess and you'll still be doing okay. All right, you'll just have a lot of work to do over the course of the next 12 weeks or so. So try to get as much done on your draft as possible so you can kind of ease the load for the rest of the semester. All right, but this is something that you could turn your plan into for your multimodal literacy draft. All right, I have a lot of things up. Let me try to get back to the main screen here. All right, so let me just kind of wrap this up here. I'm going to go back up to the things you have to do. So this is your plan. All right, it says storyboard map formative literacy experiences. This is just your plan for your multimodal literacy narrative. That's due on Wednesday night. All right, and you're just going to submit that via your link, which is down here. So just click on this and then submit a link. And then you're going to do your multimodal literacy narrative first draft. And remember, it's the draft. It is the in the self-assessment where you're coming up with 2 more dimensions and you're answering reflection questions on that self-assessment. All of that is due Sunday night. And then the last thing is your reflection questions that are due on your portfolio by Sunday night as well. And remember, those are different questions than the ones that are in this self-assessment. Those are these 3 questions right here. All right, so I know this is a lot. I know you guys are going to have tons of questions this week, but I hope this video was helpful a little bit. If you guys have any questions this week, please feel free to email me. And you guys are doing a great job so far. My office hours will be next week. Just stay tuned each day. Depending on what section you're in, they're going to be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So just stay tuned for an email because I start teaching high school next week, face-to-face with masks on, so wish me luck. But my schedule might be a little crazy next week. So if you do need me for office hours, just pay attention to your emails, and I'll send you an email each day on what my office hours will be. All right, hope you guys have a great extended weekend. Have a great Labor Day, and I will talk to you guys soon.